Welcome to the Forest Forum, where we are going to be talking all things transfer related for Forest. So let's get into it. Evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to the forum, where it's getting towards the business end of the transfer window. Hope you guys are all well. Make sure you know the drill. Hit that like. Make sure you've subscribed. The usual deal. Let's be having you, Matt. Did Coventry end up winning 2-0? I saw it at 2-0. Is it finished there? Well done, Matt. On their way back to the Premier League, hopefully. Shout out to Matt. And I've seen some comments saying late. Curtis, how can you call us? Have you seen, like, seriously, the other streamers, boys? You know, one thing I've learned from my travels around YouTube is that we are on time. Like, we keep to our times. You lot should be hitting the like just for that. But we got a star-studded panel for you guys. And crypto.
When are they arriving?
Yeah, and crypto. And a return after, you know, he's a married man now. Welcome back, Lemmy. How you doing? Let's show some love for Lemmy in the chat.
Yeah, well, good, thanks, mate. It's been a busy time. Mainly been scouting around loads of different cities that I might end up being shipped off to in the championship. So that's why I've not been able to come in. I've no idea where I'm going yet. I just know there's a lot of championship clubs interested. So yeah, house hunting is keeping me busy.
We still got him. Yeah, I did a video on him about 2 weeks ago. He was linked to Sheffield and Leeds, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I've not moved yet.
Mate, don't go to Sheffield, man. Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Shout out to you guys in the chat. We got Roberto. What are you saying, Roberto? All good?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Have you updated your W thing? I can never keep up.
That is current now.
Current and up to date. We've got. Can we get some abuse for crypto, please? Freshened it up. He's now jinxed the signing of Ola Aina's contract by putting his shirt behind him with number 304 on the back.
At least the writing's not wonky on this one.
Oh God!
Did you get your money back on the Wood shirt?
I swapped it for this, but you know
that's good.
He swapped it for like Bamadeli. Now he's gone. We'll talk about him as well. But anyway, right. So let's kick this off with the big talking story so far of this week. And I want to bring you straight into it. I was just looking at the notes that crypto wrote. The first one's rubs a dick. Okay, that's not the first.
You actually did write that in private chat.
Sorry. No, wait, this is our professional.
It's not
stream.
gore. Hey, remember, it's not gore. It's
True. Right. Lemmy Cunha. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hyping up a lot, and I'm still not hearing that Forest are interested, whatever Sky Sports and everyone else is saying. But for the sake of this debate, I want me to be wrong for the first time in my life. So let's talk this through, right? I've seen so many comments on the videos over the last 2 days saying attitude this, attitude this. There's some dude called Arctic Fox saying, how dare you talk about Van Hooijdonk and his attitude. And to be fair to Arctic Fox, a few others did back him up on it. But talk to me about this attitude. But firstly, tell me, Cunha, no brainer, surely, would you take him?
Yes. I don't think there's anything that I need to preface that with and try and come up with a justification as to why I think it wouldn't be a brilliant move. I just think it is exactly what we need at the moment, especially if we're pushing for top four and trying to get Champions League next season. I know, he has a bit of a bad attitude, and that's what's kind of being touted, especially when, I suppose, when your own manager's saying that in a post-game interview, saying that he doesn't like the way that you're behaving. It's kind of either a bit concerning, but I think that's just how Vitor Pereira kind of goes about his interviews. I'm pretty sure he's already written off about 2 or 3 players from the Wolves squad and has only been there less than a month. So that could possibly say a lot, but I don't think it's something that you could possibly use as a criticism for him before he's even here. I mean, once he's kind of here and in amongst everybody, and if he's kind of stinking out the gaff, you can then say, I don't like the way that he's behaving around the rest of the squad, but you can't judge someone on how they're going to behave before they're even here. So I don't really think that it's too much to be worried about at the moment. I just think get him here if we can, then that just shows that we are really going to go for it. And like you said on another video that I think came out today on JLA's channel, I think we're then aiming for what you predicted.
Yeah, make sure you check that video out. What about price wise, Joe? What you saying on that? Because they paid 45 mil for him. The talk is, according to Sky, again, I'm not sold on these sources. They're saying 60 mil and Wolves would be extremely tempted. It doesn't feel a bit like the old MGW scenarios, like, oh my God, 40 mil and all this stuff. But is he worth 60 mil? Because the Wolves fans were saying like 75, 80 to me.
I think that going 75, 80 is too far. In terms of 60 mil, I don't think that's too far off evaluation. I'm pretty sure we'd go in under that just to try and get the table and try and get decent starting a set price, and then try and wiggle in some add-ons that we can then try and bring in, like getting us into Champions League football, playing and being a starting player for the Brazil squad, stuff like that. So we can then use that, and then all of the outside pundits can then use the top figure and say how we're now spending so much money again, and they can start hating on us again because we've been a bit quiet for the past summer window and then done nothing so far. I just think that, especially if we're aiming for top 4 football and trying to be in Europe next year and pushing on, that's where we have to be aiming now. I do still want to be doing signings like the Milenkovic and Murillo and proper good scouting, but I think if we're trying to really get top tier talent, that's just what you're gonna have to pay, and I do think Cunha is that.
Interesting point. Do you think, Rob, that they've switched up or should switch up the recruitment process because of where we are? Maybe some people that have been in a title race before or something like that. Or do you think they should stick to this whole bring him in young from Brazil tactic?
We've got plenty of 22-year-olds. We can now buy 1 or 2 people at their peak. I mean, the point is that Nuno's said he only wants people that are going to come in and be better than what we've got. Otherwise, what's the point? So if you then go through our team and you start evaluating, what would those players cost on the open market? A lot of them are in the sort of 30 to 60 million bracket. So if you want someone better than that, then that's what you're going to have to spend. So I'm not worried by these amounts. I think that we're looking fairly safe on PSR this year, and there may be some outgoings as well, which as long as the amortization is all right, we'll balance things out. I want to come back on this character issue. I mean, squad harmony is important, right? And I think that is one of the things everybody, including Nuno himself, is pointing to in explaining why we're third in the table. So it is right to ask anybody coming in, are they going to upset that? My feeling would be no. Generally speaking, if we all look back on our own careers, every time we've had a new job, you generally don't turn up on the first day and tell everybody else that they're rubbish. And well, actually, I have seen a few people like that, but how many of us would actually do that? I think that he would make an attempt to fit in. He'd be surrounded by other Brazilians and Portuguese speakers. I mean, if you look at him, he's carrying Wolves at the moment. He's ex-Atletico Madrid, Brazil national team, a couple of appearances. He might be getting a bit big for his boots. And but I don't necessarily know whether that transfers straight into Forest if he signs. I would think not. But it's right to ask the question.
Is he getting too big for his boots?
Well,
I don't know. Yeah. I just well, yeah, I mean, I'm not to upset the Wolves fans, but we are a better and bigger team.
So last year he was good, but not this good. Right? I mean, he scored 10
I thought
goals
he was good last year, Rob.
No, well, no, he if you look at his stats, I mean, he did score a wonder goal against us, but it was his first season in the Prem. But like this year, he's clearly carrying that team, right? I mean, the fact that he's in people's he's in almost everybody's fantasy league team, despite the fact that they're knocking around 17th in the table. So he's clearly. I mean, actually, Wolves haven't had a problem scoring goals. It's stopping them going in. That's the issue. But yeah, I mean, he was good last season, but not this good. So it's important for him that he gets a move to the right place.
Well, Crypto, I'm going to give you the tough question here. I assume you want him based on your name. Firstly,
yeah, I mean, I think he's fantastic. However, two caveats. There's a pair of players out there who I think, if we're going to spend, say, up to 100 mil, there's a pair of players out there who I would rather go for than putting a lot of our money into Cunha. And secondly, I personally, if Cunha came in, for me, Wood still starts. Wood and the rest of the team have got us where we are up until this point of the season. And I think it would be highly unfair and disrupt the changing room if someone like Cunha came in and started every game. For me, Wood has to be our number one striker. He's in form. He's scoring nearly every match. Why drop Wood? And I can understand the difference of opinion on this. Some people will say Cunha's better than Wood. He should come in and start. But for me, like what we're doing at the moment, we're the only team at the moment in the league who has this consistency. And if you bring in a new striker, on paper, you could say he's better, right? But that's not how football works. You've got to change your tactics around him. You've got to change the way you attack around him. You've got to make sure that, when he's running on goal, he has that link-up play with Callum Hudson-Odoi and Alanga. For me, Wood starts.
So wait, are you looking at him as a 9?
I think that's what I'm picking up. But I think the beauty of Cunha is, I think long term, especially since he's 25, I want to say. So it's a long-term investment that you're putting into him, as opposed to like a Wissa who's 29, getting close to 30. But Cunha can play across that entire front line. And I think that's the best thing, especially short term. If we've not got Callum Hudson-Odoi, say, for his groin issue, I wouldn't have any issues with putting him out on left wing.
I agree, but my caveat would be, and someone like Ant will say it's never going to happen, I would rather put a lot of money into Mbeumo than into Cunha. And if you watch the Champions League game the other day, I'm starting to think that someone like Jimenez is a steal for 35 million.
He did look good.
Jimenez was fantastic the other day, and Jimenez's stats and the way he runs through on goal and that pace that he's got, for me, I would rather put 100 million into Mbeumo and Jimenez than maybe putting 65 million to Cunha and then trying to find somebody else.
I just don't agree with the labeling of a 9 on him. For me, he's a shadow striker. That's his best.
Yeah, no, I agree, and Lemmy makes a good point. Callum Hudson-Odoi, if he's pulled his groin, he could definitely fit in there. 100%, I agree. But I think what we've been saying the whole season is, if Wood gets injured, we need a striker, because Wood is brilliant, but we're reliant on him every game. If we want to seriously challenge for the Champions League this year, all it takes is for Wood to get injured, and then we're relying on a Wani. And we're going to drop points like crazy. So for me, the number one position we need to recruit into is somebody who's going to come on in the 65th, 70th minute and take that pressure off Wood and be a backup if we need them.
Exactly.
Chucker, man. Seriously.
Did I share an exactly from Rob there? Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I want to put this hard question. I want to put this hard question to you boys, because if I'm being honest, I'm hearing a bit of entitlement off the panel. It's like, yeah, he could do this, he could do that, right? He walks into our team. I don't care what you lot say. He is that good for me, in my opinion. And only 80% of the chat in the poll would take him. I just think, like, are we forgetting, like, how good he is and everything like that? Anyway, I'm not here for my opinions. I saw videos, but I'm just, like, a little flabbergasted by some of the poll results there.
And another problem, though, is that I've already got Milenkovic, Aina, and Wood in my FPL team. So if Cunha joins, I'm buggered.
Same problem.
FPL.
Same problem.
Anyway, here's the question I want to ask you guys. Who does he replace? Let's assume these BS stories are true. He comes in. how I want to know from each of you how you fit him in the team, and he has to start. Is the kind of scenario I'm giving you here. And chat, I want to know from you guys. Same rules, right? Who does he replace? You have to start him. So let me kick us off as the most intelligent one on here. I'll put you on the spot first. Give these two time to think.
I'm not starting him over Wood. There's no way that I'd be saying. I think doing that would just be a little bit silly. I do think he will end up being a great Wood replacement, but for the rest of the season, I'd be looking at trying to either put him in as a wing player, slightly tucked in, kind of like what Callum Hudson-Odoi's doing. If I was being really crazy, would I think pushing Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White into a midfield and then playing them as a 10? That would be, if you're playing like when we play Leicester at home, when we play Ipswich away, I wouldn't have any issues playing like that and playing them as a 10.
He is a 10 at the moment, isn't he?
He is a 10, yeah. Shadow striker.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
who you dropping then? So even if you pushed MGW and Anderson into the 8, then I assume you're dropping either Yates or Dominguez.
It's then dropping the Yates Dominguez switch,
Angare,
which Nuno seems
Danilo.
to be doing. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the headache that we're going to be creating for ourselves, because we have such a good squad at the moment. I do think when Sangari's back and fit, you're then looking at starting to think, right, how do I rotate teams? Because you can then pick a team, as opposed to at the moment we've kind of got our set 11, I'd like to say, with maybe swapping out who's going to be playing in the 6. But if you can then have, let's say, Sangare playing as a holding 6, then have two, like, I wouldn't say, you almost have 3 10s then, with Anderson, Gibbs-White and Cunha. One of them is going to be playing further in front of the other two, but the other two are going to be pivoting off each other with 2 wingers. It's going to be insane.
Do you not think we're going to lose that security in the midfield in front of our defence?
If we get a proper 6, I think if Sangare comes back fit, firing, doesn't go away to play for the Ivory Coast ever again, because every time he goes out there, he gets injured.
Yeah, but then
I think if we have a proper holding 6, and that's all their job is, they don't try and make forward runs, I think we're fine then.
The question back on that is, if he did that, he'd have to drop Anderson, and he's one of our best players.
I wouldn't be dropping Anderson there. I'd be...
If you had Cunha in the 10 and MGW in the 8, unless you're dropping MGW. If Sangare was
double 8, he's in double 8. With, if correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying Anderson and MGW in that double 8 they did a few weeks ago. It was against Villa in the second half.
But I'm saying, like, long term, if we're thinking, right, Chris Wood's definitely not going to be fit enough to play every single league game and a cup game and be out on midweek for European nights, I'd be having a spine of Sangare 6, 2 8s of Gibbs, White and Anderson, and then playing Cunha up top.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, Rob, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to give you 10 more seconds to think about your answer. Just catch up on the super chats. Forest Lion with the 199 says MGW and Anderson sitting with Cunha at the 10. Exactly what Lemmy was just saying there. So you got Forest Lion's vote there. Thank you for the 199, buddy. And Richard saying main thing is to keep all our best players. I fully agree with that. Forest doing a good job. Chris Wood signing today. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Thank you so much for the £2. And Philly Kings, just to respond to this, the Copa de America is in summertime, so it doesn't impact us. And I saw NC saying he was off school, injured. So shout out to NC in the chat as well. Rob, talk to me then.
Right. So Lemmy actually gave several answers there, including the one that I was thinking of. So we don't score enough goals, right? If you look at the other people who are level with us in the table, they're scoring 2 goals a game. We're scoring 1.5 goals a game, right? So I don't think there's any problem with having Gibbs, White and Anderson behind Cunha. I think that's great. I think you've then got 3 players that can contribute goals, right? That's how you step up our goal scoring rate as a team. Now, I mean, these are nice problems to have. I think that in reality, if he comes in, the minute anyone gets injured, you don't have this problem anymore, right? This is only a problem when everybody's fit. So it's a nice problem to have. And the last thing I'd say about this is there's a parallel here with Anderson. Whereas at the start of the season, we were looking at him thinking, great player, where's he fit in? Yeah. The point is that class players will claim their spot, right? So Anderson made that spot his own, right? I mean, he's basically playing as an 8, but a deep lying 8 because we haven't got a 6. So he's adapted to fit what the team needs, and he's undroppable now. I can't imagine us starting a game without Anderson if he's fully fit. So I would just see Cunha coming in the same, yeah? So I wouldn't obsess too much about where he's going to fit in. And also, I mean, the point is that, as I always say, with these games, it's not about necessarily who starts, right? I mean, you've got 5 subs you can use in 3 phases. So, you know, he can come on at halftime, or he can be replaced at halftime, or Wood can come off on 60. You can move him forward and then bring in someone behind him. So everybody's getting minutes, right? We've probably got an FA Cup campaign as well for the rest of the season. Don't know if we played in the cup yet, by the way. It's probably worth checking. But I don't think this is anything like the problem we're making it out to be. But I love the idea of having an attacking triangle of central of midfielders. Gibbs, White, Cunha, and Anderson.
Okay. Just before we come to crypto, we're on 134 likes, 450 plus in here. Please take a second, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribed as well. Shout out to my man Jay. He says, my shopping list is Yilmaz, Rios, and Jonathan David. Thank you for the £2. I like that shopping list. Nikki with the 18 months, the legend himself, Mr. Pottymouth. Vic with the 27 months, crazy months there. And Stoney, who's been a member since the day he was born, because it's now been 27 months. Thank you to all of you for supporting the channel. Go on, Crypto, what are you saying? Because I've just put a poll in the chat. Who's drop Junior for? So get your votes in. You have to drop someone, by the way. This isn't I can't drop it. At the moment, 19% of you would drop Wood, 4% would drop Anderson, 6% would drop Morgan Gibbs-White, and 72% would drop either Hudson-Odoi or Elanga. What are you saying, Ben?
Yeah, so if he wasn't playing as a backup striker, I'm going to agree with the chat. For me, he would basically replace Elanga. The reason being, I think Elanga's muchly improved over the last few games. However, Elanga, for me, is still better as a super sub. That pace he's got is not the same when he plays the whole game. If Elanga can come on in the 70th minute and run at the defence with full pace and full energy, that's for me how Elanga should be utilised. So the natural replacement, therefore, would be to bring on Cunha on either that right wing or swap Cho and turn him into the left, etc. But for me, he goes straight in ahead of Elanga.
Okay. I want to move on because we've got a lot of players to talk about. And by the way, you could argue that was a pointless 26 minutes we just took of your life, because as I reiterate, what I'm being told is Forest are not in any shape or form linked. Even though the reports are ramping up, man, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. All right, let's move on and just touch on Wissa, because Forest did put a bid in for him of about 22 mil. That has now officially been rejected by Brentford. Whether or not Forest go back in, I don't know yet. I haven't heard anything. But it's another striker position, Rob, that we're looking at here with Wissa. I'm glad Ez isn't on the panel, because this is his boy, and it'd be like we wouldn't be able to shut him up. But Wissa, what are you saying, Rob?
I think he's a quality addition to the squad. Maybe not such a compulsory starter as Cunha, but I mean, let's just be clear. He's got 11 goals. Cunha's got 10. We're talking about people who are in the top scorers list here. We need to score more goals. You put Wissa in there. I mean, he could play on either wing as well, right? Let's be clear. He can play on either wing, and he can play as a striker. He's not massive. He's not a Chris Wood type striker. You know, he's not going to be a great target for all the long balls. Mind you, maybe running onto them. His age doesn't worry me. He's 28. You can have some people come in at that age. I mean, it's weird. Like we've got a load of 22-year-olds and Chris Wood. You can have somebody in the middle. It's all right. I'm not worried about that. I think he would be a quality addition to the squad. He just give maybe not necessarily a whole load better than what we've got, but he gives us more depth, and we definitely need that depth. I think he would get plenty of game time.
Just, you almost acting like he would come here not to be a starter, though.
Well, look,
What's his
nobody.
incentive to leave Brentford then? I get it. It's a dump. And
His contract runs out at the end of next season.
Mhm.
Brentford are not going to be able to offer him European football. And with any move, it's not just the player that gets a bump in wages. The agent is going to get a huge payoff. So I'm pretty sure his agent is touting him out there because, he's hot property. So there's every incentive for him to move. He's playing in front of 14,000 supporters. There is more to life for him. So, I think he adds more firepower. And as I've said, we don't score enough goals. I mean, let's be honest. Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White, Anderson have not weighed in with enough goals for various reasons. And you put either Cunha or Wissa in there. They're proven Premier League goal scorers. So either is a great option for us.
Gun to your head, pick one.
Sorry?
Gun to your head.
Oh,
Name
I'd pick
one.
Cunha, definitely.
Okay.
He's got, well, I mean, he is younger. I'd say a bit more versatile and maybe a little bit more flair. I like flair.
Okay.
But Wissa is a good marksman, right? Wissa is a clinical finisher.
I'm not convinced on him. I'm not convinced.
What has you unconvinced?
AFCON.
Oh, stop worrying about
Mate,
that.
I'm scarred by it from last season. I'm scarred on it by last season. Let's get Lemmy's opinion on it. But chat, I know we did a poll at the start. I just want to know if any of you are changing your mind. Just put C or W in the chat on who you would prefer. Someone asked about the striker. I think they were talking about Yuri Alberto from Corinthians. There's no new movement on that I can update you guys on. Go on, Lemmy. Why are you saying no at me at AFCON? Surely AFCON has to be taken into consideration.
I mean, yeah, let's just write off Omar Marmoush then. And while we're at it, don't even think about trying to sign
Well, we have to write
the
him
likes
off.
of like Mohamed Salah because they're going to play for Egypt, which is in AFCON. So I don't think that's. I know that we are all scarred by it because we lost what it seemed like half of our squad, and we got a load of injuries back from it. But I don't think we can now no longer look in the AFCON market anymore. Would I take him over Cunha? No. Would I take Wissa in a straight swap deal or a swap deal with a tiny bit of money for a 1 year? Yes. But that is because that is how I'd see Wissa playing for the rest of the season, would be as a backup to Chris Wood. I wouldn't be picking him to start over Wood. I don't really think I'd be picking him to start on the wing because he's not been playing like that this season. This season,
can't he?
Oh, he absolutely can. I wouldn't put it against him, but I'd be utilising him as a backup for Chris Wood to then make sure that we stay on this run of form that we're on this season, and basically just shoring up to make sure that if worse comes to worse and we do get hit with an injury to Chris Wood, I then don't think we're going to drop completely out of European football. But I wouldn't be extending over what we've already put in as a bid, which has already been rejected. I wouldn't be going all out to go for him like I would try and do for Cunha.
Okay, but I'm going to come to you.
Quick point on AFCON.
AFCON.
So one of the reasons that AFCON was so tortuous for us is because the Nigerian Cote d'Ivoire went all the way, and that's where all our players played for, right? So Wissa plays for Congo, who might go out in the first round. So it might be worrying about nothing, right? Just throwing that in there. Sorry, crypto.
Just Jets. I know, but I'm going to be a hypocrite. If you tell me Marmoush has to go to the AFCON for 2 months and every year, I'll still take him. He's that good. Bloody Man City, man, 70 mil. We could have had him for 25. So I get what you're saying. It's a valid point, but we got injuries off the back of it. People came back with jet lag, boys. Let's not forget that. There was jet lag, right? Shout out to Andrew with the £5. He's saying, evening, lads. First time me Julie is watching you all. Shout out to Andrew. Shout out to me, Julie. And make sure you keep doing what you're doing on match days because it's been working. Thank you so much for the £5, buddy. Legend Brett, happy 2-year anniversary, Brett. Thank you so much for your support. And please, quick reminder, we're fast approaching 200 likes. We're on 176. If you hadn't hit the like button, stop being lazy, man, or we'll send you lot off to play at AFCON instead of our players. Get those likes up. Get those likes up. Okay, Crypto, Wissa.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vissa's a good player, and I think Rob and Lemmy have made some good points, but I agree with Lemmy in the sense that if Wissa comes in, he then, for me, is basically a bench option to Chris Wood. Whereas if you get someone like Cunha or Jimenez in, they're there to challenge for that position. They, Cunha could play on the right, left, wherever it may be. I think Wissa's great. He's a clinical striker, but don't forget as well, being at Brentford, he doesn't start every game. He's sometimes used as a bench option as well. So
he's a starter, man. Not that
he hasn't been all season. He hasn't been a starter all season. There's been times where he's been brought on the 60th, 70th minute.
Can either of you verify that? Because I really don't bother myself.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, yes,
to look into it.
He's starting to start more now, but it hasn't been the case all season. But look, Wissa is very good and he's very clinical. I mean, there's another player there who I'd rather have than Buemo, but if you want
to, 18 starts. He's had 18 starts according to.
What are we?
So
20,
like 4 games then.
Yeah. Exactly. So statistically correct.
He completely missed 3 games. So he is a starter.
In the Premier League, he's not started 1.
Yeah.
There he goes. That man, John.
You can keep reading these statistics out to me. Every one of you are making me statistically correct. Look, it's hard, isn't it? Because we don't know who the options are. If it was Cunha or Wissa, I'd have Cunha. If Cunha's not available, I'd be happy with Wissa, but I'd rather have Jimenez. So it's like we don't know who's going to come in and who's not going to come in. I think they're all 3 good options. But as Rob said, at least Cunha offers you that kind of ability to play him on the wing and in different positions if needs be.
You 3 would make terrible managers.
Wissa can play on the wing. Wissa can play on the wing.
Yeah, he can,
but he's not really.
He's not primarily, is he? Because Wissa normally plays striker, and you have Mbeumo on the right. Yeah. So I'm still telling you, man. Jimenez to me looks like an act. He could come into the club and actually challenge Chris Wood for that starting role. He's that good.
Yeah, but I gotta call out a couple of things. So far, the way you lot have been talking about Cunha and Wissa is basically they're not good enough to walk straight into this team. Am I getting this wrong?
No, wrong.
I said Cunha can play anywhere other than I wouldn't swap him out for Chris Wood.
What about
okay, so you would definitely start him, yeah?
Oh, yeah. If we sign, if we sign Cunha today, then I'd start him this weekend. No problem.
For who? Who drops out?
Hudson-Odoi.
I already said Hudson-Odoi.
What? Because he's injured.
And Wissa, Lemmy, you're saying no, you wouldn't start him straight away.
Wissa wouldn't start straight away. No.
Okay, Rob, are you saying yes to both or mixed bag or what?
Well, if it was Wissa first game, which would be Bournemouth, I'd start him on the bench and then bring him on after 60 minutes.
For who?
Okay, I'm not talking the whole break them in. Everyone always starts on their bench on their first game. I'm talking like we're 3 weeks down the road. Is he starting for you?
That depends on performances, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't because
yes, it does. Don't be silly. Of course, it depends on performances. So he starts. He comes on in the Bournemouth game as a sub on 60 minutes. If he scores 2 goals, he's made a very good case to start the Brighton game at home. If he's absolutely terrible and gets injured, the opposite. So you react to evidence. And it's like I said with Anderson, the good players will claim their spot. They're too good to leave out. So just let things happen. You don't have to map out the whole season at this stage. He's a quality addition to the squad that gives us depth who can play in more than one.
You're trying to put logic in this. I'm talking like on paper. I'm talking on paper. Right?
Yes.
does he start? See, that's the kind of answer I need. As I'm saying, he wouldn't even start.
Not with the small O's in the wood, man. He giving me PTSD.
All right, I get what you're saying. But I'm saying you load up, I don't know, a FIFA game, you put your first 11. Is he going into your first 11? On name. I'm saying on name here. Let's make it easier.
Not quite. But the minute anyone gets injured, he'd be making sub appearances. If those sub appearances goes well, he claims a spot. Just let it happen.
I mean, Rob's always going to sit on the fence, isn't he? That's what he does.
No.
It's feeling like that. All right, go on, Ben. What are you saying? Let's see if you sit on the fence.
I mean, what would make logical sense at the moment, as Lemmy said, is that Callum Hudson-Odoi, we believe, is injured. So obviously he would come in for Callum Hudson-Odoi. If Callum Hudson-Odoi wasn't injured, I would have Cunha starting ahead of Elanga, as I said, and I would use Elanga as a super sub. If it was Wissa, I'd have him on the bench ready for Wood to come off in the whatever minute of the match.
I just feel like you guys are not realizing how good both these players are.
But the thing is,
opinions are opinions.
We've done so well so far. Like, why are we upsetting the apple cart? Yes, they're good players, but at the moment we're a good team and we've got a good dressing room and they're gelling together. If you bring in someone like Mbappe, it doesn't mean it's going to work the same, because Elanga might not hook up with Mbappe and Cho down the wing to cross the ball into. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're a team. We're doing better than players on paper. We're doing well because we're a team.
All right, fair enough. Let's round off the striker talk then with Cristiano Woodinho, boys, who had signed a new contract with Forest. I don't think it's fully official yet, but I think Romano tweeted about it. I think we said it was in.
It's official. I've just had a live score update on my phone. It's official. I've just had an update.
Yeah, Forest tweeted about it.
Forest tweeted about it. Okay, so officially, what was it? 2 years, I think. The extension.
27.
27. So that takes him to about 35, 36. Is he 33 now? I've forgotten. Let me.
December birthday. So
okay. So he's running up to like 35-ish age. You boys happy with that deal? What are you guys saying on that? I don't know whose turn it is to go next. So
Lemmy is, I think.
Andre.
Yeah, I think 2 years is pretty much the perfect length of time. We obviously don't want to go too far out, because then we're just going to end up in a similar situation that we had with I can't even remember his name now, but you couldn't get rid of him for love or money. Like, Harry Arter, perfect, thank you. Yeah, we don't want to end up with a Harry Arter where we've signed him on for 5 years. He's had an amazing season, then he just doesn't do anything for the other 4. But at the same time, I don't want to go through this roundabout every year like we seem to be doing with Olareina, where we just keep on tacking on a year every single time that he seems to be doing well in the winter. So 2 years, yeah, more than happy for that. I think that's exactly what we need right now, and hopefully that means that he's going to be with us through the rest of the season, and then when we're in European nights next year.
Honestly, these go a lot, man. I swear to God. What were you saying then, Crypto, on it? Because it was feeling about a week or two ago that Olareina was going to be the one who signs first, until obviously you went and put his frame behind your head there. But Woods one suddenly gathered some rapid pace over the last couple of days. It looks like they had a breakthrough on whatever was stalling, or they're waiting for a space in between games or what have you. But 2 years, good deal. We aren't going to get any money back. I think we can all do that. But I think the return we've had has been pretty good from him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously well happy that he's staying, because he's our best goal scorer ever, and he's on absolute fire at the moment. I'd probably say slightly controversially, I'm a bit worried, because by the time 2027 comes around, he's going to be pushing the late end of 35. Look at Felipe. Look at not Niakate. Look at Bolly. I know Bolly's still good, but they've lost half a yard. Felipe went from being our best defender that season to the next season. I know he got injured, but he was never the same. So age does matter in football, and especially for a striker, because if you lose your pace up front, he's not going to be half the player he is at the moment. But 100% he deserves it. He's one of my favourite players on the pitch every game. and what he's done for Forest this season is definitely something to remember. So I just hope that, you know, he can stay fit for the next few years, and long may it continue.
Do you buy into that, Rob? Could he fall off?
Life without Chris Wood is inconceivable. So I'm obviously delighted by this. 2 years is about the right length. I mean, it's actually 2.5 because it's the rest of this year and 2 years after that. I think he's basically he's looking to finish his career at Forest. I think the thing about Wood is that pace isn't part of his game even now, right? He's making runs from deep. And quite honestly, if he lost a yard of pace, he might be onside a bit more, which might actually improve his goal scoring rate, because I've seen quite a few offsides by him. So, look, it's a relief, and it puts us in a much stronger position in terms of bargaining for these potential striker signings. Because if there was still a question mark over Wood, then things would get a bit jittery over that. And, you know, I'm glad they've done it. I'm relieved to see him there. Also, just thinking about Wood himself, you look at him and he's an extremely good physical specimen, right? I think he looks after himself. He clearly works and trains incredibly hard. So I don't worry about him getting fat and old and over the hill and crocs.
Well, I don't think he'll get fat and old, Rob. But as you know, once you get old, it's harder to keep up.
Yeah, but he'll be onside more, so I'm not worried about it, and I can actually see him potentially moving into the backroom staff as in the long term, because I think they talk about him already as being part of the leadership team and everything. So I can see that being a natural progression for him. He's just a good guy to have around, and he's very popular. It's a great relief. Can I just say, we're not going to mention like the signing of the week, which is Murillo's 4-year contract, because that's the other one that we were sweating on. Well, I mean, that is clearly fantastic. Now, I mean, he was due a pay rise. I don't know what they've given him. Whatever it is, it isn't too much. And you know, we've got to get European football. I think he's perfect alongside Milenkovic. I think there's still improvement that can come in the player. I'd like to see some of those shots going in and some of those forward runs resulting in passes rather than just getting dispossessed. But he's a tremendously exciting player. I was just feeling absolutely warm and fuzzy when I saw that interview where he said, I really love being here, and I thank my wife, and I thank God, and I thank Nuno. Can't remember what order it was, but, you know, he's clearly not being tempted by I mean, what he said there undid everything he said about wanting to play for a big club and all of that, because he's realised that he's at one. And partly we're a big club because he's here. So I really, that's made my week, the Murillo signing. I don't know exactly what's in the contract. Presumably it might have some kind of release clause, like, you know, if actual Real Madrid come in with 100 million, fair enough. But I mean, I would assume that it locks him down a little bit more than his existing contract did, which is, I don't know whether the existing one had release clauses, but I mean, I would have thought the whole point of signing the whole point of signing the extension is like, just say, like, take him off the table. Look, people, stop talking about him as the next VVD. Stop talking about, look, he ain't going anywhere. And I think that's fantastic, because I don't like people sniffing around. Sorry, that was a rather long go, but I felt it all needed to be said.
Very passionate.
Can we just remind the chat as well that Rob said that Chris Wood, if he signs an extension, did not deserve a pay rise?
That's not quite right, what I said. You can trade off. You can trade off length of contract versus pay in his case.
So our highest goal scorer ever doesn't deserve a pay rise. 100% he's gone in there and
he's already starting from quite a high base, and you have to have a wage structure, and you have to be aware of PSR. So
yeah, but there's no way on earth he's taken a lower pay.
No, obviously not. Obviously not.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna add another mark to the mod list. Shout out to Mark. I hope you don't mind, Mark. But anyway, right. Lemmy, does this new contract, the cynic in me, not what I believe, but let's play devil's advocate, does this new contract mean for us just looking to bump up the price tag on Murillo? Because that's what I'm hearing a lot of, mostly from Liverpool fans, to be honest.
No, I don't. I'm pretty sure it is more of a locking him in and making sure that he's going to be playing for us for the length of his contract. It's not just something that we're doing purely to drive people off and say we need 100 million plus. I'm pretty sure there is going to be obviously talks about that, because there would have been plenty of outside opinions saying, yeah, we'll go for this 70, 80 million because we think that we'll be able to try and tempt him then, or we'll be able to tempt the player in. I don't think that Murillo would be like posting, like, I follow him on Instagram and he clearly has passion for Forest in the way that he's going about, and he would be announcing the gender of his child in the City ground.
Yeah.
If he wasn't happy with where he's at, he wouldn't be doing all these social media posts with his wife announcing the new contract deal if he wasn't happy with where he's at and he's just trying to bump up his own valuation. I think he knows how much he's loved here, where he can go with the club, as well as how he can project his own valuation without having to go elsewhere and look for a sidestep move, because that's what we are looking at now, is that unless you're looking at the Real Madrids, or I wouldn't even put Liverpool as, like, it is a big step up, but I don't think there's anywhere else that you'd be able to go now where he would be able to achieve what he's doing now. So I don't think it's an idea of just trying to boost his valuation.
Well, I'll put a poll up. Let me know if you guys think he'll be here post the summer or not. Just need to catch up with some super chats. A lovely Phil with the $10 says, another great backup striker this season could win us the league. Also, AFCON pisses me off. I agree, Phil. It really does. My parents from Africa, so I know that feeling. And shout out to Mark as well for the 5 gifted, the absolute legend. They popped up in the chat. I hope all of you who got those 5 gifted from the beautiful Mark, give him some thanks. That was James. That was Nick. Shout out to Nick. Nick's in the chat. Spoken to him for ages. Thoblom. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Luna and Darren as well. Make sure you show him some love. Okay, I want to talk on a bit of a sad one for me, is Omar Bamadeli leaving, and what's being talked about, a permanent deal. And by the way, guys, please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Crypto, Omar Bamadeli. I know Stoney's in the chat, and this may be a sensitive topic for him, but nonetheless, we've got to talk about the news.
Yeah,
Would you like to stay or go?
I'll start it with another receipt, because I do believe that several months ago, Forest Ant said that Omar Bamadeli and Murillo would never be the future of Forest, because Murillo will leave next year. And how wrong he's been, because it's actually Omar Bamadeli who's leaving. So, for me, I personally would have sent him out on loan. I think he's the type of player and the type of age where he could quite easily come back and be really good for us one day. I thought he was, look, there's levels to football, isn't it? He's not a Murillo, he's not a Milenkovic, but I don't think he's that far behind. With a bit more experience, he could easily be a backup player to the ones we've got. So to sell him, that presumably means we now have to get someone new in, unless we're relying on Bolly. I thought he had potential. I'm a bit sad to see him go, to be honest. But 11 million is a supposed fee, so that's probably quite good for him. But don't forget, this guy was Irish Player of the Year, or Irish Young Player of the Year, so the potential was there. But obviously, we're not going to get to see it now. I don't know what your thoughts are, Rob.
Oh, he's gone. Right. Well, look, he wasn't getting in the team. Clearly, Moretto is the number 3. Bolly is the number 4. So his 5th choice defender. And then we signed that guy that's at Olympiacos, David Carmo, sorry. I don't know how he's doing there. Somebody said atrociously, but he's so far down the pecking order. And I think at this stage in his career, he's too good to be sitting on the bench. Would have thought a loan deal might have been the better option. But that said, you know, I thought Niakate was all right, but since he's gone, I haven't really missed him. I mean, I think Omobamidele is the sort of player that, you know, if you're trying to get from 17th in the league to 12th, you're thinking he's going to come into his own, he's going to move us up the table. But, like, look at, is he Milenkovic and Murillo level? No. And is he going to be? Well, very few people are going to get to that level. So, you know, if he's decided he wants a permanent move and that's what suits him, fair enough. But I did rate him, but you know, I think we've got a crowded field there now, haven't we?
The thing is, again, a point on age. Bolly's not going to be around forever, so at some point we would again have to go out and recruit effectively a bench option, because you can't just have Morata on the bench. Like, you've got to have at least a few people as backup.
Yeah, well, like I say, this guy is presumably coming back from Olympiacos, where he's been on loan for the season. So maybe he comes back in the summer and he slots into that Bolly spot. I don't know, but I think that the things with Omobamidele, if there wasn't someone ready to take him on loan and he had the option for a perm, then you could understand it. And you know, if we are going to bring in a Cunha or a Wissa or whatever, we do actually have to make a spot in the squad. You know, we do have to make. I don't know whether Omobamidele was like a freebie because of his age and the fact he's like. I think UK and Ireland have some special exemption, but so I don't know whether he counted as a squad member. But you know, some people have to go to make room for new signings.
Mm-hmm. What about your thoughts, Lemmy?
No, I completely agree with Rob. I do think him being a fifth choice centre back, especially in that kind of role, is just never going to be able to step up into that. It would take an injury to probably 2 out of those starting 3 that we'd have in Milenkovic, Murillo, and Morata for him to even have a sniff. I do think taking the money now, especially if we are looking at trying to bring in like upper echelon quality to be able to replace or strengthen the squad in other areas, is the best thing to do at the moment. I do feel sorry for him. I did think that when he came in, he didn't play awfully. Would a loan deal be an idea for now, or a loan with an option to buy? Could have been an option, but I do think him just going, especially if it is 11 million when we brought him in for around the same fee, I believe. Yeah. So him being here for a year and a half, take that off of the amortization. You made a profit on a player who's been a bit part. He served well last season when we needed him to. I have no ill will to him going, and I don't really feel too sorry or feel like he's missed out, because we've just strengthened in unbelievably well with bringing in someone on the same value in Milenkovic this season, and who's arguably one of the best centre backs in the league with Murillo.
Can I throw one in there quickly? Just a quickie. David Carmo is playing football right now for Olympiacos, and they are winning away at Porto. So he's in the team and he's playing right now. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, he'll join in the summer, but again, what Lemmy was saying, it's like
the thing is, like, next year, and obviously we'll have time to invest again there. But you know, if we do get Champions League, we have FA Cup, we have the Premier League. You know, there's going to be a lot more games, and you can't just focus on 3 or 4 centre backs.
Okay, so those are the main kind of in and out talks at the moment. Okay, we will, as always, have the transfer videos coming your guys' way to keep you up to date on it. The one on Alex Baena, this sensational midfielder, I'm not buying that one either, so we won't talk about that, but I'd love that one to happen. I'm going to ask the boys, we'll do a quick talk about the Bournemouth game coming up now, because bogey Bournemouth, man. Apparently there's a storm coming, by the way, lads, this weekend. I don't know if they've checked their roof. I know that joke is done plenty of times, but seriously, there is a storm coming apparently this weekend. How worried are you lot, and you in the chat, about this game? This is bogey Bournemouth, man. 2015, I think, last time we beat them, if I'm not mistaken. Confident or not? Let's kick it off with you, Crypto.
I mean, I'm feeling confident for one reason. I think that Nuno tactically will have seen that we effectively fell apart in the last match. And I think he will, in training this week, he will have been changing that up, and he's not going to want to see that at Bournemouth against a better opponent. So what are we, undefeated in 8 or 9 games now? There's no reason why we can't go to Bournemouth and get, a point or 3 out of them. They're lower than us in the table. Yes, it's a tough opponent. Yes, they've been playing well recently, but I still think that we're the informed team in the league.
They're undefeated in 10, I think, or is it 12? Someone in the chat will know.
Yeah, but they're not picking up as many points as we are. And our back line is so solid. I mean, I was slightly disappointed with Morata in the last match, but if we go, 2-0 up and there's 30, 40 minutes left, I'd have a back 5 and try and get the game won. It's going to be a tough match. Like, I don't know what will happen effectively, but I'm confident. I think we can at least get a draw, but I think we should be aiming for a win against them. I just hope we don't lose 3-2. If we lose 3-2, then season over.
Why you said that to me the other day as well? Why are you bringing that up, man? I can't deal with it.
They always beat us 3-2. And they don't have Rob's favourite player now, anyway. So £80 million Solanke.
So we are the form team in the Premier League on paper, because we've only dropped 2 points out of the last 18.
Yeah,
no one else can match
the table.
Yeah. But we and the rest of the commentariat, and I mean, I've been to the last 2 games. I've noticed the team tiring after 70 minutes, and that has started to give me anxiety. Bournemouth are a bogey team, but having said that, Nuno has banished a lot of demons so far this season. We've won at Man United, we've won at Brentford, beat Spurs for the first time since getting promoted. So there's nothing that's off limits. Won at Liverpool, for God's sake, right?
Yeah.
So nothing is beyond us, right? This said, what obviously worries me the most is what Bournemouth did to Newcastle was just humiliating, right? And Newcastle looked unstoppable until that point. So this is absolutely brutal, right? And they are our bogey team. I'll tell you what, that 1-1 draw that we had with them on the first day, we were all pretty disappointed with their late equaliser. But in the context of the season, it's not such a bad result, is it? So I would personally start this one with the 3-4-3. Basically, you want to rinse and repeat of what we did at Brentford. Start this one with a 3-4-3, and we could come away 2-0 winners, or we could get a draw, which I think would be an acceptable result. I would take a draw from this game, move on to the next one. I don't want to lose. That's the main thing. They are just... We can beat anybody on our day, but so can they. And I don't know. It's like the Liverpool game.
So what are you saying, Rob? Here?
Okay. So the Liverpool game was a game that neither team could afford to lose. So it ended with a draw. I see this being the same. For Bournemouth can't afford to lose it because they've got aspirations. Neither can we. I think it'll be a 1-1 or a 0-0.
Rob, when you say move on to the next one, though, the match is coming up at Brighton.
We've got a horrible February, I agree.
How many times are you going to say take a point and run? We'd end up with only like 4 points in Feb.
Look, I would love to beat Bournemouth, but I mean, my mind goes back to the end of the promotion season where we were in with a sniff of automatic promotion. And we went down there thinking we can do this, and then they absolutely rained on our parade.
No, they cheated, Rob.
Yeah,
I know there was some controversy in that game, but I don't know.
The Surrey should have got a penalty, but the linesman flagged him up. Was that one? Yeah.
They're not just a banana skin. They're a sort of banana skin on an ice rink with grease on it. Right, I mean, it's also, we can see it coming. It's like we can see what a pratfall this is, right? So if we get a draw and move on, I will not be disappointed. I'd certainly like to start with a 3-4-3 as well.
I mean, there's a reason I left you last.
Firepower. They've got goals from all directions.
They got loads of injuries, mate. They got loads.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue.
They still dismantled Newcastle. Sorry, go on, Lemmy.
Go on, Lemmy. The reason I came to you last is I'm hoping there's a little chest.
The thing the thing that I'm most worried about this weekend is the Bournemouth fans getting wind that there's a storm and they're accidentally tearing their roof down to try and get the game postponed so their injured players can come back. I don't see us losing this game. This entire season that we've been on, especially in the past few months, has been about getting rid of these bogey teams. What was it? Let me find it.
Yeah,
Here we
Wolves.
are. Wolves, bogey team. Battered them. Move on to the next. We then had Everton, bogey team, beat them 2-0 at their ground. Never even looked like going to concede. Next, Spurs at home, not beating them yet. Beat them 1-0 again. At really comfortable game, really. Brentford, team that hadn't lost a single game at their ground this season, another bogey team, beat them 2-0, easy. This entire few months has just been the Forest train of ending all of these bogeys and just saying, I don't care about it anymore. We've got Nuno and a team that's really fired up and kicking. We're not losing this game. We are winning if we play this weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It would take a storm to come off the coast and to stop us from being able to play on their beach for us to not win this weekend.
And
So
I was just going to say, if anything, surely the team want to go and prove after what happened in the last match in the second half that we're back in form. And for me, it's this weekend is all about trusting in Nuno. If we can get through February, this is when people will start believing in us. Because if we can take points against Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, Bournemouth, 5 hard matches, if we can get a decent amount of points here, then if we come out the other side in March, people are going to start taking us seriously. Because at the moment, no other fans are taking us seriously still. They think we're going to drop down the league. They think it's all going to crash and burn. Well, let's see how Feb goes.
I mean, also to Rob's earlier point about obviously looking at the game in a single vacuum of Bournemouth going up to St. James's Park and scoring 4 goals and saying, yeah, they're in a vein of form scoring. Liverpool, if we're looking at entire season, Liverpool have scored 50 goals in 21 games and only one of them has been against us. And that was off a header from a corner. I'm not worried about conceding goals. The last 2 games, maybe because we've scored 2 corners 2 games in a row, might be a little cause for concern. I'm not worried about shipping in 3 or 4 goals, and I can't believe I'm saying that after what we've been through the past couple of seasons.
Chat, is Lemmy making you feel more or less confident? Are you thinking he knows what he's talking about, or he's jinxing us here? I'm on the fence. I can't decide. He puts a good case forward. He really does. But I don't know, mate. I actually think my 0-0 prediction may be right for the first time in about 2.5 months. So if you put in the score on it, Joe, what are you saying?
2-1, 3-1.
Wait, you said you're not worried about us conceding.
4-1-5.
I'm not worried about us. I'm not worried about us conceding 4 or 5 like Rob is. I'm saying, yeah, they've probably got one of them. Like Clivert has a knack for winning penalties and scoring them, and I'm pretty sure, depending who's going to be on VAR, I'm sure we'll get a lovely message in the post from our favourite fans at the PGMOL, and they'll be able to get someone to buy him in a pen that Clivert just won't miss. I still see us winning that game 2-3-1.
Just before I come on to the other 2 score predictions, Crypto, something you said there about winning this game makes the other fan bases believe we're serious. Do you think our fan base thinks Forest? I know you can't speak on behalf of the fan base, but you get what I'm saying. The general kind of consensus. Do you think we believe as a fan base?
Yeah, I mean the major difference, and this goes for all the pundits out there as well. The major difference is that obviously we're watching Forest week in and week out, so we've seen all season. We've been saying all season how good are Murillo and Milenkovic. And other teams, they haven't heard of them. They've heard of the Morgan Gibbs-White. They've heard of the Chris Wood, but they don't know how good our other players are in our other positions. I mean, look at Nico Williams this season and Aina. Look how well they perform. Sells number 1 statistically, the best goalie in the league. We're seeing that week in and week out, and I don't think other clubs are. And they're thinking we've got a few superstars in the team and we're going to fall down. But actually, this is the most together Forest team I've ever seen in my life. I know it's not in some of yours, but this is the best Forest team I've ever seen. And the way they gel, the way they talk about things in the interviews after the match, the way they say it's the best dressing room in the league. This, for me, is a proper team who can go on and definitely get Champions League football. And it may be at the end of the day that we don't win the league because Liverpool are so good this season as well. But I think 99% of Forest fans, maybe excluding Rob, are proper behind us this season and think that we can achieve something great.
You're very picky on poor Rob tonight, mate, aren't you?
Well, they both tried it, didn't they?
Well, kind of little slice stray bullets going your way, Rob. All right,
So
so
what-
what are you predicting then,
Well,
Rob? after
right,
you
I
did your
have
own
just
goal?
checked, and they have got a horrific injury list, but it
Mhm.
is a lot of it is squad players. They're still
Mm.
going to have Clivert, Semenyo, Ouattara, people that can damage us, right? I'm looking at the other fixtures. Man City are playing Chelsea. That could and should be a draw, right? So if we get a draw in this, everybody just moves on one game closer to the end of the season, and nothing's happened in positions 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean? So in that context, I would take a draw. Anything could happen in this game, though. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. I just get a slight feeling that we're going off the boil just because we've let those two corners in, and the last two games we've nearly thrown away a lead in the Southampton game, and we did throw away a lead in the Liverpool game. I would like us to take this one seriously. I'd like us to go and play the 3-4-3. I'd like us to win 2-0 like we did at Brentford. But I think that the Bournemouth manager is a hell of a lot better than the Brentford manager. He's probably their key asset. Look, I think it's going to finish 1-1, and I would like to just get that and move on.
Rob, that point you made about nearly, I think if this was, of seasons past, we maybe would have lost that game. Maybe they would have come back and it would have been 3-3. And there's been a few times this season where it's been 1-0 and we're thinking we're nearly. But the matter of fact is we're not. And
Close? But is Aina going to clear off the line every game? Because we're living by the skin of
That's
our
how good he
teeth.
is.
That was the agreement for me buying his shirt. But what I'm saying is like this season, all the stars seem to be aligning. We're playing well. We're scraping through games and getting points out of them. The other teams around us, like I know some of them are coming back into form, but the big teams who you would expect to be way above us, Arsenal, Newcastle, Manchester United, Spurs. I mean, Spurs nearly in a relegation fight. We're not going to have another season like this where all of the Cartel 6 are a bit off. I think something special is happening this season.
Okay, so what's your score prediction then, Ben?
Gavin, Rob's my drinking buddy, mate. I'm not trying to get under his skin. My prediction is 1-0 Forest.
Is that it? After that Herculean speech, it's just going for a bog standard 1-0.
We're going to thrash them 1-0. We're going to thrash.
You see, I know Ant's saying they got several first teams. I agree with Rob. Most of their first teams, most of their injuries are squad players. I agree with that. And they're pulling out the smallest violin thing again.
Yeah.
So I don't know, boys. I don't know. Okay, let's round off with a little bit of fun, right? So Lemmy came up with the idea. I can't take credit for it, right? The Dream Team 11 with realistic signings. Okay. What would you go with in your Forest Dream Team? Assuming you could add in, let's say, 2 or 3 players in this window. Chat, let us know. You can just put who your dream additional signings would be. I'll be interested to see what you're thinking. But seeing as it was your idea, Lemmy, what you got for us? What you got for us?
I don't think I'm going to be adding a lot of players. For me, this window, the main thing was holding on to what we've got. And I think we are one quick snapshot of a Ribena Carton away from achieving that in the Holy Trinity of getting Einar, Wood, and Murillo all on new contracts. So I think we'd be having Sells in goal, right back Einar, Murillo, Milenkovic, and then Nico Williams out on the left back. I would then be playing a fit and firing Sangare as my defensive midfielder to then have Gibbs, White, and Anderson sat in front of him. I'll then have Elanga on right wing, Hudson-Odoi left wing, Cunha up top.
So you change is just Cunha, is that right?
Get Sangare fit, bring him back in, Cunha up top.
Okay. I like it.
I think that would be my moving forward long term. That team could, if talk about trying to build team chemistry, that team could be a well-beaten team for the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Wow, statement there, man. The people saying what I said on James Alcott's channel was over the top, but okay. What are you saying, Ben?
So my realistic dream team would be Sells in goal, my boy Aina out on the right, Murillo Milenkovic and Nico Williams. However, I'd bring in a backup to Nico Williams and get rid of Toffolo, and that backup would be Jed Spence. Jed Spence put a load of Forest pictures on his Instagram the other day. And I think Jed Spence running down that wing with Callum Hudson-Odoi. I'm just imagining it now. So bringing Spence as a backup, I would have Anderson in the 8. And then at CDM, I'd bring in, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but is it Amadou Onana from Villa? I think
Onana, the one who's at Everton.
Yeah, realistically, I think he'd be.
All right, you might as well just stop them.
I think he'd be class in that team. And then I'd have MGW in the 10. I'd have Cho out left, and I would have Mbuemo on the right wing and Wood up front, with Jimenez as backup.
You lost me at Onana. I'm not gonna lie.
I was gonna say Gravenberch, but it's not realistic. I did just want to say one player, which is a bit out there, but Barcelona are trying to buy Rashford apparently. And if they are going to get him, they need to ship off a load of players, right? So Danny Olmo, they reckon he's going for about 60 million euros, which is about 50 million pounds. He's a class player, he is. He can play on the wing, he can play cam. I think we should put a cheeky bid in for him.
I thought you were going to say Rashford for a minute.
I thought you were saying Rashford.
Yeah, I'm literally about to boot him off, man.
I take Ahmad, but not Rashford.
I need to get Mark on here, man, because he speaks sense. Yeah, Kamara, whichever way it's pronounced. That's the better one, Ben. If you're going to pick one of those ones.
Yeah, I think our team's quite physically. We've got a lot of tall players, a lot of strong players. He'd fit right in.
All right, Rob, your turn. But guys, we are 7 likes away from 250. So if you don't mind and you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Still 450-ish of you in here. Shout out to all you lot in there. I think Spurs won for those of you who are interested. United still drawing. All right, Roberto, give us your changes then. Who you adding in?
So we're talking about a starting 11 here. So I don't want to take Chris Wood out, and I want to keep the defense exactly as it is. All right, so that's what makes it pretty. Yeah. What I actually like that idea that we came up with earlier about having Cunha as a 10 and dropping Gibbs White and Anderson back behind him. As long as Gibbs White is under strict instructions, no pirouettes on the edge of our penalty area, I think that could boost our goals. So I think if Cunha is a realistic target, get him and put him there. And then the only other thing is I would like to see us add a winger. And I don't think there's anything wrong with if you bring in somebody that's good enough. I don't think there's anything wrong with Elanga and Hudson-Odoi sharing that left wing position, right? So McAtee looks good. Yilmaz also looks good, right? So I would take either of those and start them on the right, and then have Hudson-Odoi and Elanga sharing the left wing position. Now I'm going to throw in a name that's going to make everybody wince, and everyone will hate it.
Don't say Solanke, please.
No, Brennan Johnson.
Oh my God.
I like Brennan Johnson, and I would take him back on the right wing. And every player we sell to Spurs comes back in the end.
Are you
right?
gonna take his dad as well, wearing his Spurs scarf?
Every player we sell to Spurs comes back in the end. So there's a long procession of them. So I wouldn't rule that out. Come on, is he enjoying his life there? Is anybody enjoying his life playing for that miserable Wolverine lookalike who can't even make eye contact with the interviewer, never looks at the camera? It's never his fault when they lose. If I was Johnson, I'd be thinking, get the hell out of there. And I think he would be good if he came back.
Rob,
We all love Johnson, but
he's
like,
not Champions League.
and hates that idea.
He's not Champions League.
Look, he's one of our own, right? And
That's sentimental, Rob. It's
no,
sentimental.
he's played well for Tottenham. He has
Yeah, but he's
played
not
well.
Champions League quality. Where we are now, we have higher expectations. We need
I'd
to
pick
bring
him over Elanga.
Would you pick Johnson
I'd
over
pick him over Elanga.
Would you pick Johnson over Mbeumo?
Well, okay.
Would
I
you
didn't
pick
realise he was a
Johnson over
realistic
Mbeumo?
transfer option.
Would you
I
pick
didn't-
Johnson over Mbeumo?
Well, you didn't mention Mbeumo.
Yeah, I did. I said
he
Mbeumo.
did
Yeah.
him in his team.
All right, sorry, I wasn't listening.
Shock.
Would you pick Johnson over Mbeumo?
No.
Thank God. I thought.
Well,
he'd lost
I don't think that Mbeumo is a realistic transfer target, whereas I think that Johnson shouldn't be ruled out.
Oh, Jason's got you. Sheringham didn't come back.
That's true.
Ben doesn't come back.
There must be
Dawson and
another
Reed.
one.
Dawson and Reed did, and Steve Hodge, and so
Well, what are we saying on JJ? Technically, he didn't go
That's not a bad shot.
directly. Yeah, he must kill Worrell back as answers. Okay, on that bombshell, that covers us for tonight. We're back with a preview for the Bournemouth game tomorrow. My video. I'm gonna kick you guys over to Saeed's channel. He's doing a watch along for Manchester United. So do me a favor, even if you're not gonna chill there, just go in his chat and just say FFTV raid or Wolfie raid or something like that. So this will redirect you there. Just go and say hi to the main man, and we'll be back tomorrow. So please make sure you've hit that like button. Make sure you've subscribed. FFTV raid. Go infiltrate those United lot. We will see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Come on, you Reds.
You